Hi everyone, Grada Robertson here coming to you with You Are the Miracle FM, and tonight I'm going to talk to you about your psychic abilities or psychic hunches, because we're all psychic beings, and but we may be not aware of it. And so tonight I want to take you through some exercises and share with you what your life can be like when you open up to your own superpowers. Of course, this is something I feel really passionate about, and the worst thing that ever happened to me was when I had a nervous breakdown in 2008, and my mind wasn't really ticking over the way I was used to. In fact, my mind was broken, and I spent some time in a psychiatric hospital. And the worst feeling from that time in the year in 2008 for me was that I felt my intuition had left me, and all my psychic powers had left me as well. I felt betrayed by my own body, and I felt I couldn't trust my intuition anymore, that it was just telling me nonsense and rubbish all the time. And I remember I was there for about 6 to 8 weeks, and towards the end of my period in a psychiatric hospital, I suddenly got a very strong intuition that one of the nurses was going to die, and I didn't know how to share that with her, and I didn't trust it because, you know, I thought it was crazy at the time, so I just kept it to myself. And after I came home, she actually died in a motor vehicle accident, which was very sad. And I guess there's nothing that could have, happened to prevent it anyway. And at the same time, I knew at that point in time that my intuition was still active. It was still there, underneath all the chaos. It was still, ticking along and trying to reach out to me. And even though that was a really sad occurrence, because it was a beautiful nurse, I really loved her. She was one of the best ones there. It also gave me hope. So tonight I want to talk first of all, what's the difference between intuition and psychic awareness? Well, actually, I think it's pretty much the same. It's just whatever language you like to use yourself, whatever you're comfortable with. So in Tasmania, where we live, it's more comfortable for me to talk about intuition a lot, because psychic sometimes has negative connotations to it, or people are scared of that word. But psychic simply means that you've worked with your intuition for a while, and you've honed your intuitive skills, and now you can you've kind of stepped it up a notch, and it's like you can play the piano well. So intuition is, when you have a piano in your room and you know how it sounds like, and it you can play it a little bit. And when you have psychic awareness, maybe you can even, come up with a symphony or something that you can play. So all human beings, I want to inform you, are, we're all highly intuitive beings. That's how we were created. And we're all highly psychic beings too, all of us. We all have the ability to receive messages from the other side, or from the invisible world. It's actually more normal for us to be like that than to get nothing, to get no messages at all. So it's more, in my opinion, a matter of listening to your intuition. So like I said before, intuition is the still small voice in your body that's like always there, just quite often just underneath your awareness, but then it pops up and you become aware of it, and you get a hunch. You might change your plane ticket at the last minute, or you might take a different route in your car, or your body will say, and now don't do this or that, and it doesn't make any sense to you, but when you listen to it, you realize later, oh well, that saved my life, or that averted a disaster, or that helped me to create a huge success. So intuition is your best friend, and it's like a wonderful thing to work with it. It's a beautiful gift. In a minute I'm going to tell you a few things that you need to get in place in your life so your intuition becomes very, very clear, and also you can develop your own psychic powers, which is great as well. So let me explain that to be psychic, we're all psychic, and we all get psychic hits all the time. So I'm going to use that word a lot tonight, and maybe if you get triggered, that's good. So my mom was incredibly psychic, but she was very scared of it. So she was always running away from herself, you could say. And she didn't enjoy the best of health. She actually had a lot of pain in her life. And I believe that if she'd been more at home in her body and more comfortable with her own superpowers, she might still be alive today, although she would have been in her 90s. But still, she didn't need to die as young. She was always giving her power away and scared of what she was capable of. So that made me feel so passionate today, even to debunk all this stuff, because it's the most perfectly normal thing for us to be like that. So we live in a universe where everyone is connected, and in fact we're all one, whether we realize it or not. It doesn't matter if we don't feel connected. If we have a sense of separation, that's just part of the illusion that goes on in our conscious mind. But our subconscious always knows. We're all one, we're connected to everything that is, we're connected to all visible things, and we're also, of course, connected to the invisible world. And our invisible world goes far beyond human beings or animals or plants or other life forms. It includes, the whole universe, so it kind of boggles your mind. And yet, every cell in our body knows that already. So we are infinitely connected to the universe, which is another word for God, or infinite intelligence. We are connected to that, and through all our senses, we never separated from it. Even if we believe we are, we can't be, because that's just not possible. And so, of course, when you know that, then it's easy to believe that you can get psychic hits. A psychic hit might be something that something is going to happen before it happens. And it can be a year before, okay? So, for instance, I had a psychic hit. I'll just call that a psychic hit. But it was definitely psychic. It was beyond intuition. I had a dream 9 months or so before my mom died. And in the dream, I could clearly see that she was dying and how she was dying, the whole process, actually clearer than when it actually happened 9 months later. So that was later on I found out that it's called a shared death experience. Now I'm interested to know if any of you have ever experienced anything like that. Something like a shared death experience. Quite often people will have a shared death experience when a loved one is actually dying or in the process of dying. And then if you're very closely connected to that person, you might be experiencing what that person is going through. That's called a shared death experience. Now, a year after my mom died, I had my own near-death experience. And that was nothing to do with my mom. That was because I got hit by a truck. So that opened up my nervous system more than before, which I see as a blessing. But I'm here to tell you that you actually don't need to be hit by a truck. You can reset your own nervous system today, so you become more receptive to all this. And why should we receive guidance, by the way? Well, because it is guidance, exactly, that's what it is. When we get messages from the other side, from our loved ones who've died, or from there are like ascended masters or Jesus or spirit guides or guardian angels and other beings that we don't know, and even our ancestors or other loved ones who love us and we don't know them, by the way. They're all trying to talk to us. We're surrounded by them. And the more you feel that in your body, like not just an intellectual concept, but the more you become conscious of that literally in your body, the more whole you feel, the more healthy you feel, the more happy you feel, the more richer you feel, the less needy you are. It's just a wonderful thing, and you get so much joy from it, and guidance. So guidance means learnings, right? And these learnings can't be achieved from school books. Okay, so that makes you very wise without having to go through school, which is always a bonus. So how can we even for people who are listening to me today and sitting on the fence, what can you do yourself to make that a possibility for you? Well, by the way, I think everyone has already experienced it, but you probably just haven't been conscious of it. So I would also love for you to mention in the box or mention in the comment about your own intuitive or psychic experiences, because the more we talk about it, I feel that the more this becomes the new normal, which is what I want for everyone. So I'm very fortunate because in my work, I work with my intuition all the time. Before I go on and give you a few tips, I also want to, I'm sort of called to share something that I haven't really talked about with my siblings or anyone else yet. But when my father was sick last year, he got sick, he sort of had a fall in February, and then he took like 6 months to die, or slowly, and then gradually, eventually he died. During this process though, I was getting really strange sensations in my ear, especially when I was near my father and near his bed, as if I had knitting needles poked in my ear. And I even wondered if I was picking up, if my father had a brain tumor or something, and I was picking up on it. But actually he had MRIs and all that, and it showed his brain was all clear. But since my father has died, that feeling hasn't gone away. And today when I work with my clients and I get that feeling in my ears again, and I just call it knitting needles because it literally feels like a sharp object is poked in both ears, and it gets really uncomfortable, then I know that for my client, a loved one is there, or maybe a couple of loved ones, or maybe 2 or 3. There might be a whole party there in the room, and they want me to say something to my client, a message that comes from them. So I usually then now find it easy enough to tune into what the message is. It's always like an uplifting message that's, just helps my client to stop being stuck in the place they're in, and to move forward and feel happy and joyful again in their lives. Our loved ones who've died, they're always around us, and they're here to help and support us. I can't stress that enough. And if you've experienced, if you've lost somebody suddenly and you have some guilt around it because you weren't there to say goodbye or all that, all these things don't matter. Most of the time, our loved ones want us to stop worrying about them. They just want us to stop worrying, because when we worry, our brain kind of does this, and worrying is the opposite to being open and expanded. So when we worry, we start to live from a very small place, right? And God wants us to live from a bigger place, from a bigger perspective. So our loved ones want us to stop worrying and to just relax a bit and trust more and start enjoying our lives. I'm sorry, I just see Freddy, he's about to bark. So if you hear a loud bark, that's Freddy, who was lying on my bed. So I don't know if that is a gift from my father. I never thought my father was, I never saw him as a psychic person, but this started to happen when he got sick, and then since he died, it's changed for me. I feel it really strongly now in my room, and so my healing sessions have changed a lot since my father died exactly, a year and 2 months ago. So this can happen for you too. So I've been honing my skills for a long time now, in my work for 20 years nearly. And so a little bit of practice goes a long way for all of us. So the first thing I'm going to say to you, like I said before, if you want to become more intuitive and more psychic, which I recommend you do because it really enriches your life, choose to stop worrying as much as you do. Just get out of that stress mode. Just do anything to, you know, to change a worrying mind. So just clear your mind. So if you have to go to the sea and listen to the waves, or if you have to play with your pets, or if you have to sit under a tree or watch a funny movie, to break out through that pattern, like a hilarious movie or a stupid movie, or just something to get that shift in your mind. That's number one. And then secondly, get your mind out of the way completely if that's possible. So put it in the boot or the back seat of the car. So how do you do that? So then you come from a place of no mind. So when our mind, which is always behind the driver's seat, if it's in the boot of the car, all our other senses that we have become extra sharp, and then it's very easy to receive messages from the other side or to get a psychic message. So a good way to do that is by doing, repetitive action. So let's say walking, like one step in front of the other, riding a push bike, peeling potatoes, knitting, chopping wood, anything that's repetitive, where your mind goes on automatic pilot, and then you become aware of the things around you. So your intention has to be as well, like I'm ready to receive, I'm ready to receive. So that's a really good one. Okay. One of my favorite ones is, of course, I love to lie in my bedroom with the curtains open and the windows open, and see the stars or listen to the night sounds and so on. And then it's easy for me to, sense these connections through my body. I don't leave my body, but I know that my body is part of the universe. So my body feels light. I think that's what's helping me then. So become light filled as well. So some people think, well, that's easy for you to say that. But I just want to tell you something interesting here. When I got hit by a truck and, I had a near-death experience, and then I came back into my body and I was in a lot of pain. I was in total agony, you could say. At the same time, I was conscious of the fact that I was feeling very light-hearted. Strange enough. That's very, very strange, isn't it? So human beings, we have this incredible capacity to suffer, and during the suffer to find the light, or to be in touch with the light, if we surrender to the suffering, right? So when our suffering is so big that there is nothing to do for us but to surrender. We can't resist it, because we know if we were to resist it, we would die. And that can be physically, it can be spiritually, it can be emotionally too. Like if your heart is broken, the best advice I can give to you is just surrender to it. And when you do that, stop resisting the pain and surrender into it, you become light-filled. Okay, and that's also when you receive help from the other side. Help is always there, but you become conscious of it. That's perhaps what I'm trying to say. You become aware of it. So the opposite to what I suggest you stop doing is buy into the dramas. Like stop buying into dramas. We all like to feed on dramas. Well, some people more than others. Stop buying into dramas. And stop hanging around with toxic people. So don't do that, because it makes your energy very dense. And when your energy is very dense, of course it's hard for the other side to, knock on the door. They have to get out the sledgehammer. So eventually you want your intuition and your psychic abilities to become so honed that you only need like a little butterfly sensation. And okay, wait a minute, stop, there's a message for me here. And another thing, of course, if you're living in a city, get out of the city and get away from people and become one with nature. That's the fastest highway to develop your intuition. And that's easy for us here in Tasmania, because we've got so much beautiful space here. So if you're living, in a city somewhere, or in a in a busy or in a noisy suburb, you might have to get away from it as often as you can and get out in nature. Okay, let's see if I forgot something. Yeah, hang around with pets like dogs and cats or any kind of pet, because pets are very they don't have any, they don't have any shield, they don't have any facade, they're just highly intuitive beings. Oh yeah, and clear your mind, use your breathing as well, and open your heart. And I use some essential oils. So I've chosen cedarwood here. Cedarwood is classified a spiritual oil, and in the past, in ancient times, it was called the poor man's sandalwood, because sandalwood opens your third eye. And of course cedarwood does the same, but it's only a fraction of the price. So like, if you're living in the city and you can't get away, definitely douse yourself with pure essential oils, and it immediately changes your frequency. And so, okay, I know I've gone over time, but let's just do that for a minute. So I'll get you to close your eyes, and your intention hopefully from today onward, I would suggest make your intention that you become more intuitive being and more skilled in your psychic abilities, because you'll have a great life with lots of fun. So breathe into your body and breathe out. Just give yourself permission to relax and clear your mind. Imagine windscreen wipers, they're just wiping the thoughts away. So thoughts, just wipe them away. Okay, now drop further back into your head, like further back behind your eyes, and go further back. And just lean into that beautiful calm space that's there for you. Breathing into it and out. And then further back, and then slowly, slowly drop into your heart. Now your heart, of course, is incredibly intelligent. And scientists now know that there is a point in our heart, a place in our heart where all the knowledge of the entire universe is known to us. And that information, that mystical information, is hidden inside our hearts. So breathe into your heart and out. And feel yourself get very, very still. Right now, nothing matters other than that you remember who you are. And then drop further down into your pelvis, into your womb space when you're a woman, and into your power base when you're a man. So just right in the middle of the pelvis is a little point of light where the universe becomes very, very still. So just drop into that. And then just become aware if there's a presence or an energy that wants to speak to you. Right now I'm feeling very peaceful. Very, very peaceful. Okay, so you can keep doing that for as long as it takes, and when you watch the replay, and just keep dropping further back into your body, further back, because when we get to the front, that's where it's busy. So just drop back into your body, use your breath, and become deeply, deeply anchored inside your body, because the more anchored you are inside your body, the more safe it is for you to receive psychic messages. So this is really, really true. You don't need to leave your body to receive powerful messages. It's more important that you're fully home inside your body, and then it's very, very safe for you. And you don't need to be scared of anything. You don't need to be fearful of anything. It's very, very safe for you. And that's how you start to awaken your own psychic, intuitive abilities. And once those messages start to flow, you start to feel very, very loved. Because ultimately that's the aim, that God wants you to feel loved always. You're loved already. You don't need to change. You don't need to change anything about you. You are a gift from the universe to the universe. And you are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are known. You're important. You're remembered, and you're loved, and you're being looked after all the time. So just keep doing this all week and start and be ready to receive beautiful messages of guidance. And guidance will help you to, it's always a shortcut towards happiness for you, towards reaching your full potential, towards, finding your true purpose in life, which will give you fulfillment and happiness and a beautiful sense of freedom. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your experiences. So please share them with me in a personal message or in a message here on Facebook. That will be great. Because the more we talk about this, the more normal it becomes, and it should be normal. So thank you for tuning in, everyone, and hope to talk to you again next Thursday night for You're the Miracle FM. Bye bye. Have a great week. Bye. Love you all. Bye.